Welcome to Kicker News. I'm Arlette Lazarenko, and I'll be your host today. We have some interesting stories for you. Coming up, the health risk of working from home, pull-tab addictions, and a possible DoorDash scam. But first, pedestrians in St. John's are concerned for their safety after multiple close calls with motorists. Kicker's Sara reports.
Safety is a priority for many on our roadways, but for those who rely on city sidewalks to get around, staying safe is a challenge. Emily Dyer is one of many pedestrians who have experienced close calls with motorists. Dyer lives downtown and says she doesn't feel safe.
Every day was like, oh, I wonder if today's going to be the day I get hit.
Gia Chandon is also a pedestrian living in the downtown area. She says many are going too fast to slow down for pedestrians. In an area frequented by many, Chandon brings me to the site where she has witnessed close calls.
So we're at the intersection we're at the bottom of Bannerman Park, down Rennie's Mill Road, Circular Road, the one-way street to Circular is right to our left. And there's a crosswalk right there, which a lot of people use to enter and exit the park, a lot of kids especially. And what has happened here multiple times, people tend to go at a much faster speed over a blind turn and not see pedestrians.
According to the RNC, there have been almost 120 reported incidents involving pedestrians and motorists in the last 5 years. RNC Constable James Cadigan says that they've seen a decrease in reported incidents since 2020. A decline which has been attributed to multiple lockdowns and a decrease in traffic. Constable Cadigan says that despite the decrease, there is still concern.
I knew that our call volume had dropped off during the lockdown. Occurrences of collisions had certainly dropped off as a result because there's just simply no vehicles on the road.
Constable Cadigan says many of these incidents are caused by distracted and aggressive driving. For pedestrians like Dyer, she'll continue to take precautions.
I don't normally walk at night, so I'm just so hypervigilant because I'm terrified of dying while walking.
While people like Dyer and Chandon have no choice but to be pedestrians, Constable Cadigan urges drivers to drive with increased vigilance and reduce speeds, especially in the downtown area. Sara, Kicker News, St. John's.
We don't usually talk about the potential injuries one can have working from home, but for some people, working from home is costing them their health. Gurwinder Kaur reports.
Steve Sidhu has something to share. He works from home as a customer support. He got many problems.
But that's additional stress on the eyes and the ears, lots of screen time, and with the use of computer and everything, I've started having carpal tunnel syndrome. Those are the main problems I'm facing, and not going out much. It's just confined to my room working.
The next is Arlette Lazarenko, tech support for CompuCom, also working remotely, says about the setup of the home office.
They just sent me a computer and 2 screens. And
as every lock has key, so Andrew Jones, a physiotherapist at Action Physiotherapy, has a solution.
Is get in the habit of having frequent breaks. Every half hour to an hour, get up from your workstation, walk around, and just do some basic walking and stretching to get the blood flowing.
Companies should provide medical chairs and other handling stuff. Comment down your views. Gurwinder Kaur, St. John's, Kicker News.
Though we could, but...
So it's straight to Sara now.
We have some bad weather coming up over the weekend, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Currently it's -6 and feels like -14 with wind chill. The wind is 25 kilometers per hour going north and gusting up to 45. Later today, there's a 40% chance of snow, and tonight temperatures will drop down to -9. Tomorrow will be a little warmer at -4, mostly sunny with south blowing winds feeling like -10, and a little chance of precipitation. Saturday and Sunday, temperatures will warm up to 0 and 7 respectively, and there's a high chance of precipitation, up to 3 centimeters of snow and about 5 millimeters of rain on Saturday, and Sunday it's looking like 5 to 10 millimeters of rain. With weather, I'm Zach Green. Over to you, Arlette.
Thank you, Zach. For a different story, a local woman has been protesting outside for many hearings and trial of alleged sex offenders in hopes of bringing awareness to sexual violence in the province. Kicker's Sara
has been advocating for victims of sexual violence for a number of years. Most recently, she's found herself rallying behind the alleged victims of former downtown bar owner Chris Carter, who was charged with 8 counts of sexual violence against children. Lynch, a former friend of Carter, says that although she supported victims in the past, she feels intensely drawn to this case because she's seen its impact firsthand. She explained that awareness is key in these situations.
It only takes a small group of dedicated citizens to make real change.
According to Lynch, there has been tremendous support for victims since the protests began, and the most important thing to her is that survivors know that support is there.
It's about showing solidarity and letting them survivors know we got your back, we hear you, we believe you.
Executive Director of the Newfoundland Sexual Assault Crisis Prevention Center, Sandra McKellar, hopes that this awareness will help more victims of sexual violence feel comfortable to come to them for help.
We know that sexual violence is very prevalent. It's out there, it needs to be addressed. There are so many things that we provide support around.
McKellar and her staff, as well as a team of volunteers, provide a healthy environment for individuals who have experienced sexual violence in the province.
You listen, you believe, you provide support.
Both Lynch and McKellar want victims to know that they are not alone. There is support, there is a friend, and there are people you can trust.
Real people will listen.
Lynch says that despite all outside efforts, she and her group of allies will continue to speak out for those who don't have a voice. For Kicker News, I'm Sara Lewis.
We're all familiar with waiting in line while the customer ahead of you checks a stack of Nevada tickets. What is it about these small cupboard pull tabs that have so many Newfoundlanders hooked? Samantha Butt joins us as she explores this phenomenon.
It's a sound many Newfoundlanders have heard at every gas station, convenience store, and lottery kiosk across the province. The familiar rip of the pull tabs in Nevada tickets. A telltale sign that somebody is looking to win big. But how often does that really happen? I spoke with Rebecca Dwyer, a lottery clerk who has sold Nevada tickets for the last 4 years, to get some insight.
I've given out quite a few $500 winners. The 500 is not very common, but, and I've given out 50s, but it's typically those people who sit there for hours and hours and hours. Normally people who buy a couple dollars worth only win $1 or maybe $5, but it's typically the people who sit there for hours and hours that win the big prizes.
And apparently, it doesn't come without risk. Dwyer shared with me a time that she was unable to give a customer their Nevada payout and the effects that can follow.
He got really angry. He started calling me names. He started yelling at me. He tried to grab me at one point because there's no, protection around the boot, so he literally tried to swipe at me.
Though many Nevada customers are more laid back than that, showcased by Joey Lamkin, a frequent lottery player who has been buying Nevada tickets ever since he was able to. This is what Lamkin had to say when asked what has him hooked.
Say we got a $3 change, it's $3 Nevada, and sometimes I'll come back with a $5 extra or 25 or so forth. If I don't win, it's not a burden to me because I'm still going to throw the change away, you see?
Nevada tickets are offered across the province and do not seem to be going anywhere. I'm Samantha Butt, K109.
And now, here is CNA's Megan Breen, interviewed by James Gruch and singing Valerie.
So to start off, can you just introduce yourself, give us your name and what you do as a musician?
So I'm Megan Breen, and I am a singer in the music program at Kona.
Cool. So can you just talk a little bit about what music you make and your inspirations?
So the first inspiration that I can remember is I used to always sing Love is Like a Butterfly by Dolly Parton when I was younger. And then, of course, Hannah Montana. I just really wanted to be Hannah Montana. And I mean, Hannah Montana definitely isn't as much of an inspiration now as she was as I was younger, but it really came from that, and I'm not as much into that music as I am now, but those are like my roots. I don't know, I'm more into old jazzy tunes now.
Old jazzy tunes, hey? Like example?
Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra, I really like them. Not even one artist in particular, just mostly that genre.
Cool. So what do you hope to do with music in the future?
I would love to make a music career out of it. Really just getting out and performing and meeting people. It's just really a great experience. Just the connection with me and the audience and I love it.
And so can you just tell us what we're going to hear today?
So me and Dominic did Valerie by Amy Winehouse, which I love that song. It was such a good song to sing. I just love any songs that I can just belt out. And it was really fun working with Dominic, and I think you'll like it.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I am Megan, and this is Dominic, and we are Saving Throw, and we are going to be playing Valerie. Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water, and I think of all the things what you're doing, and in my head I paint a picture. Since I've come home, well, my body's been a mess, and I missed your ginger hair and the way you like to dress. Won't you come on over? Stop making a fool out of me. Why don't you come on over, Valerie? Valerie, Valerie, Valerie. Did you have to go to jail? Put your house on up for sale? Did you get a good lawyer? Hope you didn't catch a tan. Hope you'll find the right man who'll fix it for you. Are you shopping anywhere? Change the color of your hair. Are you busy? Did you have to pay that fine that you were dodging all the time? Are you still busy? Since I've come home, well, my body's been a mess, and I've missed your ginger hair and the way you like to dress. Won't you come on over? Stop making a fool out of me. Why don't you come on over, Valerie? Valerie, Valerie, Valerie. Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water, and I think of all the things what you're doing, and in my head I paint a picture. Since I've come home, well, my body's been a mess, and I've missed your ginger hair and the way you like to dress. Won't you come on over? Stop making a fool out of me. Why don't you come on over, Valerie? Valerie, Valerie, Valerie. Why don't you come on over, Valerie?
COVID has hurt many people financially, especially for people who can't work from home. The new variant canceled many shows and concerts, and I got the chance to interview some local musicians and artists to get their perspective, and also to get a hopeful solution. Carolina East is one of the singers who will be performing in the upcoming Mind the Heart fundraiser. I asked her how did COVID and specifically the new variant has affected her career and mental health.
We were supposed to be going to Winnipeg, but unfortunately, due to Omicron and the new numbers and the rising cases, it was canceled. Usually the summertime is one of our busiest times of year for traveling and touring and festivals, and we don't know, are we going to have a normal summer? And it really increases anxiety levels too, because it's hard to gather, like, what are you going to make monetarily for the year? Is this a definite gig that you're going to get paid for, or could it be taken from you and no money at all?
Justin Fancy is another singer performing at the fundraiser. And why do you think this fundraiser is that important, especially now?
I think there's some dire needs right now for musicians and artists in the province, and this Mind Music fundraiser for music mental health is a wonderful initiative, and I think we've lost a lot of income in the last, whether it be a regular live gig or the touring aspect of it. 99% of that has gone away. I think there's still going to be a struggle ahead, and I think it's really important that we fundraise not only to keep music alive in Newfoundland and Labrador, but also to support mental health.
Mind the Music fundraiser will be online this Sunday, January 13th, and you can donate on the Music NL website. But in case you can't donate, East tells us another way you can help.
So a really great way to help artists, musicians, and even just local businesses, follow us on social media, on our Instagram, on our Facebook, share our music, and it really helps us further our careers because it's all a numbers game. Follows in general or sharing of material is worth its weight in gold.
Arlette Lazarenko, Kicker News. What do childhood cancer survivors do when they grow up? Many are so moved by the help they got through their journey, they want to join those ranks. Helping others in need can be a very fulfilling job, especially for those who receive that help in their lifetimes. Kicker's Christina Whalen has that story.
Most don't have to face many hardships early in life, but for some kids, life has different plans. Even if they have family, it can be very lonely and hard to get the cancer diagnosis, especially as a child. While other kids are playing outside and learning in school, there are children who spend their time in the hospital. So what can they do? Where can they turn? The Candlelighters are a non-profit volunteer organization that help kids with cancer and their families in any way that's needed, whether that be financially or connecting to other families. Because, as they say, kids can't fight cancer alone. Travis Martin, a childhood cancer survivor, was helped by the Candlelighters while going through treatments. He later joined them and has done amazing work with his fellow volunteers. He explains some of this work through his memories.
So in 2013, I joined the board of directors. Even before I was, well enough to go to Cancer Life, little things like reaching out with movie tickets when I was in St. John's if I was well enough to go. Keeping the food cupboard at the Janeway stocked. So if, it was late nights or any time you wanted a snack, you could always go to the Candlelighters food cupboard and grab a bite to eat. I think that was important. Little things like that made a big difference.
These kids with cancer also see the nurses and doctors that treat them as heroes. They then often go into the medical field in some way to try to help. Alana Fillier is one childhood cancer survivor who became a nurse because she felt that need.
I always wanted to be a pediatric nurse. I guess going through everything that we did growing up, being in the hospital for so much of our childhood, it just felt natural to go back to that role, go back to the pediatric kind of inpatient role, but this time as a professional helping to take care of children.
Both Fillier and Martin said they get just as much out of these jobs as they put into it, because kids can't fight cancer alone. Christina Whalen, St. John's, Kicker News.
Good afternoon. With your K109 Sports, I'm Sara Danny. Breaking news in the NFL, Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger announces his retirement after 18 seasons. In the NHL, the Toronto Maple Leafs defeat the Anaheim Ducks 4-3 in a shootout. The Ducks look to rebound tonight against the Montreal Canadiens. In Major League Baseball, the league continues to be on a lockdown. The league and the Players Association met this week but did not come to an agreement. In other baseball news, Boston Red Sox legend David Ortiz is the only baseball player to make the Hall of Fame in 2022. Ortiz enters Cooperstown as a 3-time World Series champion and 541 career home runs. That's your sports. I'm Sara Danny. Back to you, Arlette.
Thank you, Danny. And now for our final story. A group of dishonest customers are scamming DoorDash drivers. And they are using a very sneaky way to do that. Kicker's Saqib Ibn Rashid Rivu has this story.
Hi there, DoorDash 571.
This was a part of Farhan Shahrier's daily routine. He had been working with DoorDash for more than 2 years until
there is a group of customers who are using a systematic loophole just to get free foods, and I ended up getting few contact violation, and my account has been deactivated.
Shahriar is not alone. This has been a problem for St. John's Dashers for at least a month. Another DoorDash driver, Sam Arf, says that he is also a victim of this scam. He explains what happens at the drop-off point.
So what happens is, like, when you drop it off, you even see that the customer has picked it up. They just mention us that they didn't receive the food. If they can blame it on the DoorDash, they can get the full refund, right? There's a group of people who takes advantage of that.
Shahriar says that he faced this problem the most while delivering to the apartments or residences.
In individual houses, you can easily find a single family, but it's hard to figure out from residents or apartment buildings out of 100 families who actually took the food.
Marikan, a DoorDash team member, confirms both of their claims, but she says they are stuck with the company policy and a conventional saying, the customer is always right.
We are actually aware that we have a lot of customers complaining that they did not receive an order. That is beyond of our control.
DoorDash is satisfying the customers. Here Sam shares his frustration on this treatment.
As a delivery person, we're still a human being out, but sometimes all you expect is appreciation, right?
Customers are getting their foods and the refund in a sneaky way. The drivers are paying for this.
As an international student, my life was already hard, and losing my job, not being at fault, makes it even harder.
Saqib Ibn Rashid Rivu, Kicker News, St. John's.
Thank you for being with us. I'm Arlette Lazarenko. This was Kicker News.